And still on news from Parliament, government's level of debt is expected to further increase from over $7 million to a projected $8.2 million, or some 64.4%, mainly as a result of Hurricane Dorian last year. Carla Palmer tells us more about government's supplementary budget statement delivered by the Minister of Finance this morning.
With damage and losses pegged at $3.4 billion as a result of Hurricane Dorian, Minister of Finance, Deputy Prime Minister the Honourable Peter Turnquest at the outset says the government will not impose additional taxes to offset expenses at this time, but instead has opted to increase borrowing from relevant entities in the near term.
Accordingly, and very conscientiously, the government has decided to fund the revenue loss and expenditure requirements through additional borrowings. Thus, I'm also tabling a new borrowing resolution for authorization to borrow beyond the $72.4 million, which excluded the $628 million for refinancing of maturing debt, approved at the time of the 2019-2020 budget communication in May of last year. Mr. Speaker, as I mentioned during the tabling of the 2019 Fiscal Strategy Report in November, we anticipate that total revenue for fiscal year 2019-2020 will now be reduced by $232.6 million due to revenue losses and revenue foregone from VAT, business license fees, customs, and a number of other taxes in the hurricane-affected islands.
This means that total expenditure has increased as a result of incremental spending to initiate the rebuilding and restoration efforts. In fact, in today's proceedings, Minister Turnquest presented a draft resolution for a $50 million policy-based loan from the Caribbean Development Bank as part of the government's financing options.
It is important to remind this House that given the magnitude of the impact of Dorian on the islands of Abaco and Grand Bahama, the government unveiled an unprecedented package of tax incentives and concessions as a key part of the establishment of the Special Economic Recovery Zone, or SEERS. I know that members opposite, like all Bahamians, that this was and is the right thing to do. However, the impact of those much-needed tax concessions for those islands means that over $200 million in tax revenue is being deliberately and conscientiously foregone. This is being done so that the government is doing as much as it reasonably can to aid the speedy recovery and restoration of those impacted communities.
The supplement also gives the breakdown of non-hurricane-related spending initiatives, inclusive of capital expenditure. The House has adjourned to February 5th at 10 a.m. Carla Palmer, ZNS Network News.